Nigeria is diversifying its economy, and the non-oil sector is expected to play a vital role. With a lot of mineral resources deposited in many parts of the country, enhancing the sector should be a huge booster. There are signs the country is doing better in the non-oil sector, contributing about 94% to the nation's gross domestic product (GDP) in the third quarter of 2022, higher than 2021. However, the Nigerian mining sector only contributed 0.3%. Why is the sector not doing very well despite discovery of much high-quality minerals across the country? This will be the focus of our discussion on the program today. I am Joseph Otsan. Welcome to the program. My guest is a mining engineer. He holds a postgraduate diploma in mining engineering from Federal University of Technology, Akure, high national diploma in mining engineering from Kaduna State Polytechnic, and certificates in geodatabase and geographical information system. He is the former president, Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society, and also a member of many professional bodies such as Fellow, Nigerian Society of Engineers, Fellow, Nigerian Society of Mining Engineers, Fellow, Geoinformation Society of Nigeria, and Fellow, Nigerian Association for Engineering, Geological and the Environment. On the spot is the Director General, Nigerian Mining Cadastral Office, Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, Obadiah Simon Nkom. So you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Joseph.
Nigerian Mining Cadastral Office, that's under the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. Give us an insight on what the office does.
The Nigerian Mining Cadastre was established by the Act of 2007, which is the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act. And the mandate, as enshrined in the law, is administration and management of mineral titles. So one can call it licenses, issuance of licenses all over the country. And prior to that time, it was handled and managed by the Mines Inspectorate Department, which was issuing the licenses and then at the same time supervising activities of the license holders. And the reform in 2005 and the need to be able to now diversify and create more transparency brought about the act itself in 2007, thereby ensuring that there is a clear division between rights, which is issuance of licenses, and then activity. So Mining Cadastre was established by that act with the sole mandate as an autonomous body of the federal government to administer and manage mineral titles transparently and effectively. And the essence of that is to be able to now remove the opaqueness and be able to be more transparent and attract more investments in the sector. So the Nigerian Mining Cadastral Office came into being officially May 2007.
Okay. A lot of discoveries have been made in terms of solid minerals across this country, in many states. These are areas that are supposed to supply a lot of resources to the industries for whatever products they want to produce. Why are we not doing that good?
Before I go into that holistic view of the sector, is to be able to now look at clear mandates of the various agencies, particularly we have regulatory agencies.
Okay.
When it comes to rights, licenses, that is where my mandate is. We also have the Mines Inspectorate, like I told you, in the ministry, which is a technical department that has offices all over the country to be able to monitor the activities of all license holders. And at the same time, we have an agency called the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency, headed by a Director General with a clear mandate of geoscience data all over the country. And when you look at the legal framework, the regulatory framework, and institutional framework, there are clear responsibilities of agencies and then departments in the ministry. And some of these statements, sometimes one has to be able to look at them in view of his mandate, which simply means some are, I would say, policy statements that needs to be able to, let me say, the minister himself will be able to now look at that. But coming from the licensing, where I have such responsibilities and the mandates, one can say there are indications that if you get it right from the licensing regime that we have, we will be able to, at the end of the day, have that multiplier effect in terms of the other aspects of developing the sector and having the necessary growth and development. Because once you don't have licensing regime right, then there's a problem. You will be able to now have more illegal activities. And that is why when the mining cadastre came into being, we had a clear vision and a mission to be able to now ensure that we deliver service reliably, effectively, so that at the end of the day, we'll be able to now meet up our objectives and procedures.
Okay, I know why I asked that question. There was a time I had an engagement with the governor of Taraba State, where he claimed that they have a lot of mineral deposits in Taraba State of high quality. He mentioned the Ngoroji area where a lot of illegal activities are taking place, where they just scoop on the surface and they get a lot of good, solid minerals. But he was quarreling over the issue of issuing license to people without even them in the state knowing who is coming in to come and mine the resources in the states. So there seems to be a kind of a conflict there.
Let's leave that. Let's go to what are the procedures without having to narrow it to a specific governor or specific office or specific person.
I just gave an example of that.
Yes. What does the law say and what do we practice? We receive an application over an area, and by Section 9 of the provisions of the Act, it entails that you must obtain a written consent from the landowner, land occupier, before you issue any license. And that has been the practice over the years. Remember, the provisions of the Act says we can sue and be sued. And where we do not adhere to the provisions of the Act, we can be challenged in court. And that is why you find the consent issue is, we have landowners, we have land occupiers, and as such, failure to get those written documents after submission of our application, the mining cadastre by law cannot grant a license. Somebody will say, how do we even verify that is the actual landowner? We give them this, we send these forms to the landowners, they attest their signature, countersigned by the traditional ruler, which simply means that if Mr. A or Mr. B signs a consent over a land, the next person that can attest to that that it is actually his land, is the village head or the traditional ruler supervising that area. He endorses his signature and his phone number. We don't only stop there. We now go further to now ask the applicant to take that consent form with that signature, the entire consent form endorsed by the landowner, land occupier, and the traditional ruler. He goes to court to swear an affidavit that this consent was obtained from the appropriate and rightful person, which now makes him binding. These two documents will now be brought to our office and submitted, just in case somebody decides to challenge, just in case somebody decides now to say he's not the landowner. Assuming subsequently, after 3 months, 6 months, or after a period of time, a community or a landowner comes and says he has seen somebody with a license and he never gave consent, he has the right to challenge. He writes a letter to us. We take that letter and send it to the license holder who had earlier sent consent, purportedly from the landowner. And we give him 14 days to respond. And if he cannot justify getting it from the right landowner, the area or the entire license will be revoked. You see, it's fair hearing because at the end of the day, we have been able to now carry out what the law says. We work strictly by the law. So if you do anything fraudulent, there's no way they will allow you to work there. And there are instances where
that's where many states are having challenges, because these persons, because they are licensed from the federal level. The states sometimes they feel that when they observe some certain things, feel that some certain things are not done right, they find it difficult to challenge. The host community find it difficult to challenge, and meanwhile they are the one to bear the brunt of any effect that will come to that.
Traditional rulers are part of government, right?
Yes.
And as such, there's an instrument of government. I don't want to go into the issue of land and mineral. I don't have that. This is not the forum. There are appropriate other forums. We are
discussing licensing there.
Yes.
Under your purview.
Yes. So, if traditional rulers, who is a representative and under government, append his signature, and that is what the law says, that this is the landowner, there's government presence on that license. And subsequently, the state government itself, the state government has different offices and responsibilities. They have the local government, traditional rulers, the states, and whatever. So we ensure at the end of the day, once what the law says, and there are various forums, they can call the traditional rulers and further educate them as a state, because they are under the state, and educate them. But remember, obtaining consent is just the first step. You can obtain consent and still not get license. It only forms one aspect of the entire process. And that is why we've had entries and applications of almost 53,000 from inception to date. And then we have refused based on other conditionalities, either an absence of consent, either not technically competent, either not financially capable, and so many other things. We have even cases where you have to go and have an affidavit in court of non-conviction. There are so many other conditionalities because we believe that the mining companies must be decent. Does not say in the law that the consent will be obtained by the state government.
It's all right. Maybe we'll take a short break now, but we'll return to continue with the conversation later on.
NTA News 24 has the sole mandate of bringing news to you anywhere and everywhere.
We set standards based on current broadcast realities while consolidating on a wider reach to variety of audiences.
We go beyond the screaming headlines to verify, interrogate, and accommodate all shades of opinion without prejudice to national interest.
Our well-researched, packaged, and live programs keep you abreast of events, personalities, and current affairs.
Welcome back to On the Spot. With us is Director General, Nigerian Mining Cadastral Office under the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, Obadiah Simon Nkom. Do you have a mechanism to follow up to ensure that, okay, yeah, this license is issued to this person to mine this particular product in this particular area? What is your follow-up to understand that this is where exactly they're going to do? Because we have the issues of illegal mining, and sometimes some of this are carried out by even, that's what some of the host communities argue about, that even people with license.
We are an agency under the ministry, and we have various mandates and responsibilities, and create synergy from the licensing or the rights to activity. We have a Mines Inspectorate Department that has offices in all the 36 states, including FCT. And their responsibility is to continue where we stop in terms of ensuring that the license that is given to you, you work within the confines of that area in line with the law. They are clearly spelled out in the law. And that is why I have different types of licenses. We have reconnaissance permit, which is non-exclusive. We have exploration license, which is for you to carry out exploration, not exploitation. Then we have the mining lease, which emanates from exploration licenses. We believe that when you have exploration licenses, you carry out exploration, and then subsequently, in the event that you find areas within the exploration license that are economically viable, you'll be able to now apply for a mining lease. They equally have tenures. You know, exploration license, for instance, it's for 3 years initial period, and then subsequently 2 years renewable, another 2 years, to a maximum of 7 years. We believe that within 7 years, you should have been able to now complete an exploration, and then it moves into a mining lease. A mining lease, because it takes a very longer period, it's a maximum of 25 years, which is tied to the reserve that you have been able to now ascertain during your exploration. We have the quarry leases, which is for 5 years, and then we have small-scale mining leases, and then water use permit. So looking at those, we didn't just come up with those types of licenses. We should be able to now comparatively look at the African setting, look at the world itself. Mining is not limited to only Nigeria. We must be able to now carry out and have the best international practice to be able to now bring in foreign direct investments into the sector. And that is why we've been able to now capture the local sand operators by giving them small-scale licenses, you know, because we have sand, we have laterite, and whatever. Coming back to your question, you'll be able to now understand that if we issue the license, for mining cadastre as at today, we have 6 zonal offices. And those 6 zonal offices are spread in the 6 geopolitical zones. And there we have synergy with the Mines Inspectorate Department in terms of any need for consultations or whatever. We are not the inspectorate part. The Mines Inspectorate with the 36 offices in all the states are the ones to follow up. There are instances where you can call somebody an illegal operator, yet he has a license. Why? Because he has been given an exploration license and is using it to exploit. That is the mandate of the inspectorate, to be able to now follow up and do that. Remember There's always, the laws are there, you either obey it or there are sanctions. And that is why one of our key principles in mining cadastre is use it or lose it. Why do we talk about use it or lose it? We'll come to a question where you find somebody says people get licenses and just put them inside their drawers or keep them and they are not using it. There are two key major things that can lead to revocation of licenses, of which we have done over recently. About 3,400 licenses have been revoked. Remember, a key principle is use it or lose it. Another key principle is security of tenure of your license. So by revoking it does not mean that we just wake up in the morning arbitrarily and revoke it. Key things that lead to revocation are non-payment of annual service fee, which is an annual thing. One can look at it to say like ground rent. If you don't pay it at the due date, we give you a notice to your last known address which you have given to us. The second part of revocation that can lead to revocation is dormant activity. You have paid your annual service fee. And then the Mines Inspectorate, if your activities are dormant, they send you a notice. You cannot get a license and pay your annual service fee and then you are not working. It leaves the mines field congested. We have operators who have technical and financial capabilities. If you cannot, you leave it for people to come in. So at the end,
can you now employ another company to come on? You have the license. Can you now employ another company to come and mine with your license?
You see, we have the issuance of the new license. We have various forms of modification. We have transfers. We have surrender. We have relinquishment. We have different forms. The essence is to be able to be flexible. For instance, if I have a license, I can decide to invite another company, still under my name, to have an, let me say, a joint venture kind of thing, either by way with the license or have an MOU. I tell you that, oh, you are in charge of the production, produce, I have the license, but that's their own internal arrangement. But remember, if you say you are technically competent and you are financially capable, and you now bring somebody outside, it doesn't matter. You can bring in investors to be able to now up your game.
We talk about low productivity in the mining sector. How much has the license in this, where you belong, played a part?
2019, when I took up the responsibility of the Director General, from the records that we have, our revenue generation kept surpassing the previous year, irrespective of COVID period. And as I talk to you now, our revenue for up to the end of June has already surpassed the revenue for 2022. As much as we are looking at revenue, we should be able to now look at investors. We have to think out of the box. We have to be able to now manage what we don't have, overcome it, and still be able to.
What have you done better?
I have done better by making sure that we look at and think out of the box to be able to now ensure that we put in strategies to be able to now boost our revenue and be able to now have more foreign investors come into the sector. In fact, as at last year, because of the work that we have been doing, we are adjudged the best digital and innovation agency, federal government agency for last year. Amongst the big companies, big agencies, out of the final 6, does not mean it only makes us to do more work. So looking at the revenue, looking at more transparency, we work directly with NIT. We work closely with security agencies to ensure at the end of the day there's high level of transparency, and we have majorly migrated the system as at last year to an online real time for the first time in this country, which brings in more transparency. In the African countries, if you check, Nigeria is one of the 2-3 that have that online system. And then that is boosting the attractiveness of the sector. Having a good legal framework, having good online system, and then consideration. I believe that with the new government and the drive, we'll be able to now put in more towards making sure that we up our revenue, we bring in more investors, and do the needed thing, not only for the sector, but for the benefits of Nigerians in terms of diversification and job creation.
All right. Thank you very much, Director General, Nigerian Mining Cadastral Office under the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, Obadiah Simon Nkom. Thank you so much. We appreciate your thoughts here.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And that is it on the program for this week. Thank you for always being there. I'm Joseph Woodson.